But it is said tonight our Lord is called Adesh. Why? Because in our Katha, we are not looking at the baby form of Shri Krishna. We are not looking at the form where the Lord is creating a pastime. But Adesh means He is the King of Dwarka. Lord Krishna has defeated the evil kingdoms. Lord Krishna has defeated many Rakshasas and many demons. Lord Krishna has taken the most beautiful part of becoming king and ruler of Dwarka. And while the Lord controls Dwarka, He sits in His kingdom. And while He's sitting there, He sits in His most powerful assembly. The assembly that was called Suddharama, where all those members of the palace would sit there with the Lord as the head of the kingdom. And while Shri Krishna is about to speak to all of them, something else. We must join in a chant, in worship, in glorification to our Lord, where we invite everyone to sing along, to take part, to worship the Almighty, Bhagwan Gopal, to feel His blessing tonight. Tonight marks the beginning of the yajna, and where we will set the pace and the energy of the entire yajna. We sing, we clap, and we feel blessings of God. Do you know how lucky we are to be here tonight, and much so, more than anything in the world, to be a part of yajna while we are about to begin this beautiful holy month of Kartik, the time of Mother Lakshmi, the time where we've now celebrated the moments of Navaratri. In these days and in these periods, it is known to be one of the most auspicious times to do anything, more so to do prayer and to do devotion. Panduranga, Panduranga, Rama Krishna Hare. Panduranga, Panduranga, Rama Krishna Hare. So everybody one voice. Shri Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai. All together. Rama Krishna Hare, Mukunda Murare. Rama Krishna Hare, Mukunda Murare. Panduranga, Panduranga, Rama Krishna Hare. Panduranga, Panduranga, Rama Krishna Hare. Everybody all together, we sing for Lord. Let us clap, Rama Krishna Hare, Mukunda Murare. Rama Krishna Hare, Mukunda Murare. Panduranga, Panduranga, Rama Krishna Hare. Panduranga, Panduranga, Rama Krishna Hare. Hare Mukunda Murare Rama Krishna Hare. Bolo, everybody. Mukunda Panduranga Rama Krishna Panduranga Panduranga Rama Krishna. Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki jai, Umapati Mahadev ki jai. On this beautiful night, my dear friends, as we're about to join in the golden pages of Bhagavatam, we speak of Bhagwan Govinda, Bhagwan Shri Krishna. And when we speak of the Lord, Lord Krishna sits in his palace. He is Dwarkadish, he is the king of Dwarka, and he sits with all his ministers of the kingdom. And while he's sitting with all the ministers, the Katha says beautifully that while he's having a conversation with everybody, suddenly now something happens. It is said suddenly a holy one, suddenly a brahmana decides to enter the kingdom. And when the brahmana enters the kingdom, the brahmana sees Bhagwan Krishna sitting at the front. The brahmana sees all the ministers sitting everywhere. And while he sees ministers and he sees everybody, Katha tells us, the brahmana walks up to the Lord and he says, Prabhu, we are in need of your help. What help do you need? Katha tells us that Bhagwan Shri Krishna listens to the voice of the brahmana. And you know what the brahmana says? The brahmana says that he wants to beg Bhagwan Gopal for help. What help does he want? The brahmana wants help where there are 20,000 kings who have been enslaved. And these 20,000 kings, being enslaved, they have been captured by one powerful king called Jarasandha. But nobody could defeat him. Bhagwan, the world needs your guidance. The world needs your help. When you need help, who do you turn to? Who should you turn to? When you have a crisis and you have a problem in your life, many times you know what we do? We turn to our best friends. Or we turn to the people around us. People whom maybe we think we can put our head on a block for. Or whom we think we can trust. And in the end, it doesn't take too long after for the same people who claim to be our friends, for the same people to be the ones who will cut us down. So who do you trust? And who should you trust? Bhagwan Govinda, he says to the brahmana, he says, you know what? I will help you. But while he's speaking to the brahmana, it is said suddenly now, another person enters the arena. You hear the voice now. Narayana, Narayana. Great sage Narad Muni decides to enter. Lord Krishna is preparing because he wants to go help all these kings that have been captured. But Narada comes and he says, Prabhu, barambar pranams. He puts his hands together and he pays respects. And while he pays his respects, Narada says, Prabhu, I don't know if you know, but I want to tell you that one of the 5 Pandavas, do you all know who the Pandavas are? Who are the Pandavas by name? First name, Arjuna. Second, Yudhishthir. Third, Bhim. Fourth, who? Nakula. And fifth, Sahadeo. Yeah. The 5 of them. It is said the head of the Pandavas, none other than Yudhishthir, he's about to host a yajna. And as he's about to host the yajna, the name of the yajna is called the Rajasu yajna. Rajasu or Rajasu, a Raja means a king. In order to perform this Rajasu yajna, it is said one must capture or defeat all the kings of the villages nearby or the kingdoms nearby. And having conquered everybody, then he is given authority to perform this yajna called a Rajasu yajna, where he will be given full authority to be one of the most prominent kings of all the lands. So Yudhishthir wants to do that. Yudhishthir has sent Narad Muni to give an invitation. And the invitation is for Lord Krishna to enter. So Lord Krishna sits in the kingdom. And as he sits in the kingdom, he has now to think in his mind, there are 2 things that have come on my path today. There are 2 choices and 2 decisions that I have to make. What are the decisions? A brahmana has come for my help because people are in need of help. And a bhakta of mine, Yudhishthir, he wants to host a yajna. Which one should I go to first? Which one will you go to first? If you have the opportunity and you need to now help, and you have to go to help some people, or on the other hand, you have to attend a yajna to pray to God, which one will you go to first? Raj, which one you go to? Bhagwan Shri Krishna says, you know what? I have a decision. I have to make a choice. I have to make up my mind what to do. In our lives, every single day, how many decisions do we have to make? How do you make them? Today, Bhagwan Krishna, he calls one of his greatest person on his side. His name is Uddhav. He says, Uddhav Bhaiya, tell me, should I help the kings or should I go to the prayer? And Uddhav says, listen the secret now. In additional help, maybe we can send the biggest brother of Yudhishthir. Who's the biggest brother of Yudhishthir? He's called Bhim. And if we send Bhim, he's mighty and powerful. He will save all these kings that have been captured. And then in the end, as long as they're saved, then we can continue what we must. And we can go to the yajna. What do you think, Bhagavan Kanha? And what Krishna thinks about it. And he says, okay, but a brahmana has come for help. Let us observe the lifestyle of the brahmana. Let us treat him good. Let us make sure he's happy and comfortable. And then we will allow him to go where he has to go. When a Pundit comes to your home, when a brahmana comes to your home, how should you respect them? When the Holy One come to our place, how do you respect them? Bhagwan Gopa, he walked up to them, to the brahmana, and he says, bring now the water. And he decides to wash the feet of the brahmana. And he tells the brahmana, you can rest for 2 or 3 days in my kingdom. I am king of this beautiful place. You can rest for a few days. And while you rest, I will make up my mind as to what I need to do first. So Bhagwan Gopal, he allows this brahmana to take rest. And he notices something. He notices the next morning when he got up. The brahmana, he got up. He went outside. He saw Bhagwan Surya Narayan Swami. And he saw that the brahmana put their hands together and he was praying. How do you pray to Lord Surya? Om Bhur Bhuvasvaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yona Prachodayat. Everybody all together. Om Bhur Bhuvasvaha Tat Savitur Bhargo. You all sound like you're falling on a hill. Jai Narayan. Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki. With all the love in the world and with all the avas, the voice of Prabhu. Om Bhur Bhuvasvaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. Kya baat. All together we sing tonight with one beautiful voice for our Lord. तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात् ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न राधे गोविंदा। Let me see everybody hands now. Go low. One more time. Om Bhurbhuvah Swaha Tatsavitурvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat। सबको प्यारी ओम भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो धियो यो न प्रचोदयात् धियो यो न प्रचोदयात् धियो यो न प्रचोदयात्। The Brahmana gets up in the morning time, and when he gets up, he does what he has to do according to the life of a Brahmana. What do we have to do when we get up in the morning? How many people wake up in the morning regularly, and if you don't do much, how many people thank God for life by making a simple offering of a flower by your altar? How many people wake up on a daily basis and just walk outside and pick a little flowers and come back inside by your altar and say, Prabhu, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, and put a flower there? How many people wake up on a daily basis and decide, you know, that I'm just going to light my diya every day? Some form of devotion, it curbs the home into success. How many people on a daily basis chant Gayatri Mantra? How many people on a daily basis says any prayer at all? It is powerful to pray because prayer makes miracles happen in your life, my friends. Many people expect that when you say a prayer one day in a year, or you do a prayer one day in a month, some good thing is supposed to come. But prayers are to be given and performed every day because we are saying thanks to God for every day that we have. The Brahmana stands up outside and he puts his hands together and he's looking at Lord Surya Narayan Swami. And suddenly now, Udhav from the kingdom, he sees this Brahmana that morning. And he comes not too far and he's looking at the Brahmana to see what he's doing. So the Brahmana puts his hands together and he prays. When the Brahmana starts to pray now, after prayers, the Brahmana prepares to go back inside. So he goes to his room, he changes his clothes, and he comes out now and it's time to eat something. He sees the Brahmana sitting now where the food is about to be taken out, and while the food will come, the Brahmana puts his hands together and he starts to pray. Question tonight. How many people pray before you eat? You don't need to put up your hand because I know you're scared. How many people say prayer before you eat? It is said we must respect the food that allows us to grow. In the same way, when you do prayers, you get parasad. You must respect the parasad that is given to you. When I was growing up, all of us did it. I did it too. When you get parasad, what do you do with it? You open your bag of parasad and you eat out your kurma and your laddu and your barfi and so on. And when you reach down to the flower part of the parasad, you take a little taste and you say, well, nah man, that is so sweet. Like the sweets. So you wrap back everything now and you find a little hole. You see like how they have a little bolusta here? You find a little hole somewhere and you stick it right inside here and you leave it. You all ever do that? Yeah, do try that. Or you find somewhere just to put it on because probably you didn't want more. So you leave it somewhere. And later on when they clean up the mandir, well, they'll get parasad all in the hole, in the window and everything. You'll find parasad all over the place. It is said you must respect parasad because it is an offering from God. In the same way, you must respect food. Before you eat, you must pray. Put your hands together and say a prayer. Udhav realizes that now this Brahmana sits to pray. And while the brahmana is about to pray, before he eats, he walks up to the brahmana and he says, Brahmana, could you explain something to me? I am of the Kshatriya clan. I am of the warlike clan. I am not a brahmana like you, so probably I don't know. Can you teach me how to respect food? I see you put your hands like this. Isn't it that you must pray to God, maybe a murti or maybe something, some picture or something of an image of God? How come you're praying to your food? And there he says, you worship and respect the food that you're about to eat because that is the food that will allow you to nourish your body and grow. And the brahmana starts to speak to him now. And the brahmana says, he says, first you must adopt this type of living and lifestyle if you want your life to become a better one. And he gives some examples. What are the examples? He says every single day we live our daily life. We go to work or we come to the mandir and we do our daily chores. Do you know that when you're about to go to sleep at night, you're not supposed to keep on the same clothes that you had for the day, but you're supposed to change into something different and go to sleep? Do you all do that? Or is it that you come home so tired and you just drop on the bed and whatever you have on, you say, well, you know what? Well, that is that. You know what? He says when you go about your daily duties, the clothes that you would have had on you would have drawn energy. Have you ever heard anybody say you mustn't wear people clothes? You'll ever hear that? How many people wear people clothes? Yeah. Sometimes we're growing up and we have a sister and we say, I could borrow your dress. Or going to the Ramayana, you know, my shower a little tight, I could borrow yours. Or maybe I want to use a different shoe today. Think I could borrow your shoe? Whenever you put your foot into somebody else's footwear, whenever you wear somebody else's clothing, you take their aura with you. If that person, in case you don't know, may be a bad person, you draw negative energy, an aura within yourself. And if they are a good one, well, Jai Bhagwan, you uplift yourself. I will always give the example in India, whenever they would share parsad, they would give the parsad to the gurus first, and the guru will take a whole basin of parsad like this. Oh look, I have this little one here. And they will take the parsad and the guru might just pick a little piece, a little something. And when he takes it now, it becomes now energized because the guru held it with his hands. And the guru is the one who lives a positive life. He lives in prayers and worship and devotion. So he's positively charged with divine energy. That when he touches it, the energy flows. So when you see the remainder of this, hey, I want some of that too. Because I'm eating something that is blessed and it can uplift me. The guru used to eat they would bring a whole basin sometimes with parsad. Or they would bring a whole basin filled with probably papa that is cut up in pieces. And he might just take two and say, yeah, I think it's good, man, it's nice. And the remainder, you should see people rush for that. That is parsad now. In the same way, it is said, food must be respected in such a way where we think about energy. You must not wear people's clothing because the energy draws on you. You must not wear somebody's footwear because you don't know what life they live, and if they've been living a negative life, you draw their negative energy. When you go out into your job and you meet people and you probably shake a hand or you come in contact with people, or even in a yajna, as long as somebody touches you, their energy falls on you. By the time you go home in the night, if you sleep with the same clothing, you will draw your spiritual strength. You change your clothes, wear something different. The guru is telling Uddhav and he says, okay, well, we wear the same type of clothes to fight war and we go and we fight war all the time. And we come home and we just take all the armor and we go to sleep just like that. Well, now I know I will change my clothing because it creates a positive energy. Second now, he says, can you tell me more? What should I do to uplift myself? He says every single day and especially before prayers, one must take bath, purify yourself mentally and physically, adorn the body with the best of your ornaments, dressed as best as you can. I remember one day I said this in a yajna and somebody had an issue with it. But I'm quoting again from the book. And the book says, when you sit to pray, you adorn yourself as beautiful as you can because you're sitting before God. Maybe, I don't know, as I'm saying, I'm quoting from the book. But I remember when my grandmother used to do prayers, and she'd come to sit down to do prayers, she would say, Pundit, wait. And she'll go back and put on all she bera. And she'll put on all she gold chain, and she will come back out, and she orni and the best clothes, and sit down, and she will pray. I remember making this statement once, and one devotee said to me, that I shouldn't tell people this because some people may not have jewelry to adorn themselves. But again, scripture says you adorn yourself to the best of your ability, whatever you have. When you sit before God, you should feel as though I'm dressed to the best because I'm going to invite the greatest entity and energy of the universe, which is Bhagwan, in my home. It says adorn your body with the best because you're inviting God. The Guru says, before you go on a battle, Uddhav, dress properly. So that's why when you come yajna, everybody dress up nice. Why? Because you come to invite the gods. Then he continues to say, in order to keep your strength intact, Uddhav, he says you must never eat food off the plate of another. That is respecting the food. Unless the food is an offering of the Guru, which comes as a blessing of prasad, you shouldn't just take food from somebody else's plate. You always do that? Yeah, give me a piece of your roti now. My roti fall run out. He says you must never eat food from another person's plate. He says also to Uddhav, and this in no way means any form of disrespect, but the scripture also says that to a woman who is going through her cycles, nobody should eat from such a person as well. Because while she goes through that transformation, her energy, it becomes mixed up until it balances again and she's normal. Scripture says today, and in that verse, this is how we quote it. He says, Valena tu na bhuje parashadhanu tatayacha vagyato naiko vastrasya nasam vishita sadachan. He says, for some people, you must not just eat from them, but respect the food that you eat. He says, people of the world and today must understand now, you should never eat food in which you find a hair in it. You ever go to eat and you find a little hair inside the food? What do you do with it? You pull out the hair and you say, Lage bhog, kate rog. As long as you find a hair grain inside there, you're not supposed to eat that food. This is a verse that speaks of that. Narayanam nirakaram Narveeram Narotamam Pavitram Paramanandam Krishna Mande Jagat Guru Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Bhagyato Nagavastrasya Nasam Vishya Sadatan Valeto Na Bhuje Deha Parashadhantatayaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Anya Deva Bhavivasa Shayaniye Naretama Anyuddharataya Sesu Devanam Karyano Deva Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Bhavivasam Shayaniye Naretama Ayudharataya Yesu Devanam Charyano Deva Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki jai. While Uddhav speaks to the Brahmana, he is listening as to how to respect food. He continues to say that you should never eat food in which you find a hair in it. He says as he continues, you should not eat food at the shroud of an enemy. Yeah, boy. You know, when we hate Ashrad, you think about real food, let me go. You must not eat food at the shroud of an enemy. It continues to say that one should never eat without covering their upper body. That is to show respect to the food. Sometimes many men might sit down to eat, and they sit bareback and they say, well, you know what, I just go and eat. Scripture says you must never sit to eat where the upper part of your body is not covered. He says you should never eat by placing food on the ground. When you put food on the ground, you disrespect that food. It is said when one is about to eat, it is expected that you sit in a sitting posture to eat. You know, the older people always say, I mustn't stand up when you're eating. And the explanation for that is what? The food go in your foot, in your big toe. Well, that is not the explanation, but I grew up hearing the same thing. But scripture says that one must sit to eat, and that shows respect for the food itself. It says one should not make noise while they are eating. Jai Narayan. Now that goes in two ways. You know, sometimes people eating and you hear people say, mustn't disturb him, boy, the man eating, give him a 5. That's one way of making noise or disturbance. And second way, one must not make noise when they're eating. We see how you say that, boy? You ever see people eating and they're yapping? How it does go? They chew in the food and then he says one must not eat food and create extra noise. It is said, and on top of it, the intelligent man must know that when a guest comes to your home, before you give them food, you must give them something to drink first. And then you give them food. It is said when the meals are given to someone, to the person who sits amongst people and eats, and doesn't even invite people to eat. You know, sometimes you go somewhere and people sit down by the table and they're eating something and somebody pass across and they would not even say, hey, try something. To the person who sits to eat while there are others who are passing by and doesn't even offer, it is as though that person is eating poison by himself. Scripture says, we must offer, we must share. Food is one thing we never hold back. Many people know this from prayers and mandir and yajna. When you cook food, you always feed. Food is one thing you never hold back. Sometimes, you know, you buy something and you put it in the fridge. I don't know if this ever happened to you. This happened to me already. So my sister buy a juice and she put it in the fridge. And I come and I take the juice because I see it and I want it. And then when she come and she didn't find the juice, what do you think happened next? Yeah, real trouble after that. You take my juice. Katha says, food is meant to share. Always give. Always feed people. Always share. Uddhav is now listening. And the brahmana says, the food that I'm about to eat today, I'm blessing it with prayer and mantra. And I'm showing respect to the food that I have. Because food is something that is powerful, that nourishes the body. And then he says after somebody eats food, of course you will drink something. Part of the spiritual etiquette is to wash your mouth and wash your face with your right hand only. That creates positive energy because there are devatas residing in the palm of your right hands, that will energize you. That is why also in Hindu culture, in our dharma, we use the hands to pick up food and some people might say out of hygiene, you're not supposed to use your hand. That's not clean. When we go abroad, people say, well, what kind of thing is that, boy? This COVID time when you put your hand in your food, that's not good for hygiene. It is said there are gods and devatas residing in our hands, and while there are devatas in every part of our hands, at the tip of our fingers resides Mother Lakshmi. Karagre vasate Lakshmi, kadam madhye Saraswati, karamula tu Govinda. He says, Karagre vasate Lakshmi. Lakshmi resides at the tip of the fingers. When you eat with your hand or with anything and you feed the body normal, you feed this physical body. When you use the hands to eat, because of Mother Lakshmi's blessing at the tip of the fingers, you are feeding your spiritual self rather than just feeding the body. The gifts of the mother in the form of wealth resides in our fingers. And while it resides in the fingers, it is said Like we know, every musician uses your fingers to play music. The fingers are used to bring wealth. The fingers are used to do something good. You name any instrument. Dholak, keyboard, majira, harmonium. Everything uses the fingers, and they are blessed by the divine goddess Lakshmi Mata as a form of wealth. And today, when Uddhava listens to the words of this wonderful Guru, he says, Gurudev, you are teaching me so much that I haven't learned and understood. It is with the little things like respecting food, make sure that one day you never run out of food. By respecting food, you will always have. By respecting yourself, you will always live happy and comfortable. It is the little things that make you who you are. Friends, tonight, when Uddhava listens to the kahanis, he prostrates to the Guru and he goes to Bhagavan Govinda and he says, Lord Krishna, I think it is time that you must carry about with your journey. We have two things to do. What are the two things? You need to go now to save all the kings, and you need to go now to the yajna. Which will you do first? And Lord Krishna is about to make up his mind. What will he do first? He says, listen, let us firstly go to Yudhishthir, because Yudhishthir invited me for yajna. But I'll tell you why we go by him first, and we save the kings afterwards. मैं तो मंदिर गया पूजा आरती की, पूजा करते हुए ख्याल आ गया, कभी माँ बाप की सेवा की ही नहीं, सिर्फ पूजा के करने से क्या फायदा। को पानी पिलाया नहीं, बार अमृत पिलाने से क्या फायदा, कभी जीते हुए को ताया नहीं, बार आंसू बहाने से क्या फायदा। गुरबानी सुनी, गुरबानी को सुनकर ख्याल आ गया, मैं तो सत्संग गाया, गुरबानी सुनी, गुरबानी को सुनकर ख्याल आ गया, जन्म मानव कली के जाया करी, फिर मानव कहलाने से क्या फायदा। Glory to the Lord. दान करते हुए ख्याल आ गया, मैंने दान किया, मैंने जब तक किया, दान करते हुए ख्याल आ गया, कभी को भोजन खिलाया नहीं, दान लाखों के कर दे से क्या फायदा। It is said Bhagwan Shri Krishna, along with Uddhava, they've decided now to go to Yudhishthira. And while they're going on the path to Yudhishthira, the plan is in their mind that the only way we can allow ourselves to complete this yajna successfully is to ensure that the king who has now captured all the other kings, that he must be destroyed so that the world can become a better place and the yajna can be a successful one. So Bhagwan Gopal, Bhagwan Krishna, along with Uddhava, we've decided now that this is what they will do. They will then go to Yudhishthira, and while they're going to the palace of Yudhishthira, they're entering the courtyard and they're walking in. And when Yudhishthira sees Bhagwan Krishna, he starts to pay his respects to the Divine Lord. कभी प्यास को पानी पिलाया नहीं, आज अमृत पिलाने से क्या फायदा। कभी जीते हुए को उताया नहीं, बाद आंसू बहाने से क्या फायदा। Bhagwan Shri Krishna, he decides that he will go by none other than that most revered Yudhishthira. He decides to go with Uddhava, and the plan is, let's go by Uddhava, but we will also take with us Bhim, the big powerful brother. And while we go for him, we will now go and ensure that we can try to work out something with the king who has captured all the kings. In other words, he knows that if he goes to Yudhishthira, who's planning a Rajasu Yajna, he will know that he has to conquer many people, many kingdoms. And he can't conquer many kingdoms if the kings are captured. So the Katha tells us that now Bhagwan Krishna, Uddhava, Bhim, they have decided to go. And when they reach now into the palace of Yudhishthira, Yudhishthira sees Bhagwan Gopal coming, and he decides to perform a proper worship to him. When you come to the mandir, how do you worship God? Everybody came here tonight. As soon as you entered, how do you do your worship for God? Did you even do any worship for God? Or did you just enter and find a seat somewhere? Yeah. Did you even come up and go to any one of the murtis and bow? Did you even stand in front of the murti and put your hands together? Or did you walk in and just look for a seat and decided to take a seat and sit down? As soon as Bhagwan entered, Yudhishthira, at that point, he came to Prabhu and he went straight on his knees. And he put his hands together. And he called out to Prabhu. Shri Krishna Govinda. Everybody? Hare Murari. He Nath Narayana Vasudeva. Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari He Nath Narayana Vasudeva 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 Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari He Nath Narayana Vasudeva. One voice. Vrindavan mein Hari Hari Shri Krishna Govinda, Hare Murari, He Nath Narayana Vasudeva, He Nath Narayana Vasudeva, He Nath Narayana Vasudeva. It is said in our scripture that while Yudhishthir started to pray to Bhagavan Govinda, he called out the name of Prabhu. Prabhu, I cannot thank you enough for coming to attend my yajna. When he came to the yajna, Yudhishthir, he found a suitable seat for him. And he says, Prabhu Krishna, you will sit here and you will be given the best. You will be treated to the best. And in turn, all I will accept is your blessing. When we enter the homes of people, we only expect to be treated nice. Instead, sometimes we go to the home of people and we get insulted. That's why sometimes the scripture says, do not go, or people would say, do not go, you're not invited. Long ago when you had a yajna, at the bottom of the flyer, you'll always see all kirtan groups invited and everyone invited. Do you know, sometimes I go to yajna, I tell devotees, well, you know, we have a yajna tomorrow night starting. Would you come? Well, Baba, me I really know them and me I get invited, so I not come in. Sometimes people feel they need to get that personal invitation. But you all don't need to worry tonight. I saw Mom earlier and I said, Mom, can I invite anybody? And she said, you bring anybody. So tonight, maybe there are people who are tuning on the Facebook and they may say, well, okay, well, we get the invitation or we come in tomorrow. But as we know, the saying goes, do not go where you're not wanted. While many people think that I must get an invitation in order to come, and if I don't get it, well, I will never be there. In the meantime, there are people who will say, well, I know him good, so whether I invite me or not, I go in right there. Today, Bhagavan Shri Krishna has entered and he's about to get the best treatment. And then Yudhishthir comes and says, Prabhu, do you want something to eat or drink? What do you want? And while he's asking, Katha tells us now, Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, I want to tell you something first. You're doing a Rajasuya Yajna. And to do Rajasuya Yajna, to become one of the greatest kings of the kingdom and this world, you must ensure that you cover all the space possible. You must conquer all the kingdoms that are around. So Yudhishthir stops for a second and he says, okay, well, yes, you know that's true. Prabhu Krishna says, so how you intend to do that? Okay, I have 4 powerful brothers. Arjuna, Bhim, Nakula, Sahadeo. Go to the length and the breadth of our land, and any king that you see, conquer everybody. And come back. And Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, wait, listen. You could send them to conquer everybody. But the Katha says that 20,000 kings who are nearby have already been captured by one king. And that king is keeping everybody behind. And if he destroys you, he could do the Rajasuya Yajna and he could become more powerful than everybody. Yudhishthira stops and he says, really? Somebody captured all the kings already? No. I can't let that happen. I want to be the one to do that Yajna. I need to come up with a plan. And Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, well, I already have a plan. So listen the plan now. If you want to do this Yajna, this is what we'll do. I want Bhim to go with me. And I want Arjuna to go with me. And we will go and we will try to release all these kings that have been captured. And in the end, you will have to defeat all of them. And you'll have to defeat the king who captured all of them too. And Yudhishthira says, you know what? If the Lord is on my side, why worry? To those who remember the Kahani really well, when the battlefield of Kurukshetra, when Mahabharat war was about to take place, it is said Arjuna and Duryodhana, they went by Bhagavan Krishna to see if Lord Krishna could help them. And as soon as they walked in, it is said Duryodhana walked in and he went up to Prabhu Shri Krishna's head. Lord Krishna was sleeping. He went up to the head of Lord Krishna and he says, Prabhu. And Prabhu was fast asleep. Prabhu, I have come so that you could stand on my side and we could win the war. Duryodhana thought to himself, if I stay right by the head of the Lord, the minute the Lord opens his eyes, he will see me first because I'm by the head of the Lord. Arjuna came after, he opened the door and he walked in. And when he walked in, he didn't see any space because Duryodhana is standing up by the head. So Arjuna simply just sat by the feet of Bhagavan Krishna and he just placed his hands on the feet and he was just waiting. As soon as the thing he did was looked at his feet and he saw Arjuna and he says, Arjuna, you've come? What did you come for? And then he says, oh, Duryodhana. Duryodhana says, Prabhu, I came first. And I came first because I want you to stand in battlefield with me so that we can win the war. And Arjuna says, well, Prabhu, I came to ask you for help also. And the Lord says to Duryodhana, I will always tend to those first who are always at my feet. No matter where you have come from. No matter when you came, I will look after my devotees who are at my feet first. We must always serve the Lord and always go at the feet of God to receive His darshan. It is said the lucky fish in the ocean is that fish that chooses to go at the feet of the fisherman and stay right there. You know why? Because when the fisherman throws a net and he pulls, he won't pull up himself. Everything else that's on the outside will be caught, but the lucky fish is the one who will remain by the foot of the fisherman because he will never be caught by the net of this world. To be saved from this world, where should you be? Where? At the feet. Sit at the feet of God and you will be saved. Bhagwan Shri Krishna, Arjuna, Bhim, they are about to save these kings that have been captured. And how will they save them? They've decided to disguise themselves into brahmanas. They say, you know what? That king Jarasandha, he's a king. But if we go to him as a brahmana, he was a king that people know that if anybody come, he will fight them. But if a Brahmin person come, he will give them anything they want. Because you know, if you make the Brahmin happy, your kingdom will be happy. So you know what he does? Bhagavan Krishna, Bhim, Arjuna changes their form. And while they change their forms, they're about to now go to this king. And while they're going, they go now and they reach this path and listen. Both of them, they are honoring Bhagavan Gopal. Both of them, they are showing their respects to Bhagavan Krishna. And while he leaves, I know we all know this bhajan. Let us sing tonight. Hari Sundarananda Mukunda Hari Narayana Hari Om Hari Keshava Hari Govinda Hari Narayana. Let me hear everybody. Hari Jai Bhagavan. Mamu you think about it? Shivanna Hari Lal ki. If I was Lord Krishna, I would have run out of here tonight. But this song, let's carry it a little bit. Let us all sing tonight. Hari Sundara Namo Hari Narayana Hari Om Hari Keshava Hari Govinda Hari Narayana Hari Om. बनमाले मुरली धारे गोवर्धन गिरिवर धारे बनमाले मुरली धारे गोवर्धन गिरिवर धारे नित नित कर्माकन चोरी गोपी मनहारे नित नित कर्माकन चोरी गोपी मनहारी. बोलो Hari Narayana Hari Om Hari Keshava Hari Govinda Hari Narayana Hari Om Radhe Govinda Narayana Hari Om, Hari Narayana Hari Om, Hari Narayana Hari Om, Hari Narayana Hari Om, Hari Sundara Nanda Mukunda, Hari Narayana Hari Om, Hari Keshava Hari Govinda, Hari Narayana Hari Om, Hari Narayana Hari Om, Hari Narayana. Shri Gajananda Swami ki jai. In our katha tonight, it is said that while in our scripture, Bhagavan Krishna changes his form, Arjuna and Bhim, they also turn into brahmanas. They've gone to the kingdom of Jashandra, and when they reach there, Katha tells us that while walking upon and entering the kingdom, the king sees them, and he sees brahmanas. And he says, you know what, when I see holy people, I should show them respect. So he goes up to the three brahmanas and he puts his hands together and he pays his respects. When he sees them, it is said, Lord Krishna, in the form of the brahmana, he says, Raja, we've come to your state and to your land, and we're asking for alms, donation, help. Can you help us? Can you please? And he puts his hands together. Bhiksham Dehi. And when he says that, the king was no foolish man. When Bhagavan Krishna did this, the king looked at his hands, and at that point he saw beautiful symbols. He saw some symbols in his hands. He saw something like a trishul. He saw on the other hand something like the chakra. He saw something looking like a shank on the other end. And then he said to himself, wait a minute, is God testing me today? When the Pandits enter your home, do you know if Bhagwan is really walking inside your house to test you? He's a king, and he sees now the marks, and he says in his mind, you know what? Raja Bali became popular in the whole world. How and when and why? Because Rajabali saw the little brahmana that day who came up to him, and Rajabali says, hey, what do you want? And the little child, looking at the age of 5, the child says, Raja, all I want is 3 footsteps of land. And Rajabali says, 3? What size of foot you have? Big so? Okay, take it. Which part you want it, here or there? 3 footsteps, you go ahead. I bless you, take it, it's yours. And there it is said, Bhagwan started to grow so tall that when he became mighty and tall, 1 foot alone covered the heavens. Another foot covered the earth. And with the 3rd footstep, he looked at Rajabali and he says, Rajabali, you allowed me to take 3 footsteps and I only covered 2. What to do with the next one? And Rajabali says, I never believed that God would have come and test me. Since I have fallen a victim of you now, I drop on my knees. You can take that 3rd footstep and put it on my forehead if you want. I will become a servant to you if you wish. The king in our katha tonight is remembering Rajabali, and he says, but Rajabali became very popular because of that. I could get popular too. Is life about popularity? He says the whole world will find out how powerful I am. So you know what he does? After seeing these marks on his hands, he says, okay, he's smart now. Okay, brahmanas, if you have come to beg for alms, take anything you all want, man. Anything you all want, you take it. If you want me to cut out my head and give it to you too, I will give it to you. Anything you want, you ask for it. And when Bhagavan Krishna saw the way he spoke, Bhagavan Shri Krishna realized that he knew what was happening. The Lord is the Lord of the cosmos. He will recognize. At that point, he turned to Arjuna, he turned to Bhim, and he says, today, we must do what we must. You see, if we don't do what we must, then the king will continue to destroy the world, and he will perform the Rajasu Yajna, and then one day he will create havoc and problems in the universe. So at that point, Bhagavan Krishna looks at them, and he says, let us take back our original forms, and let us show him who we really are. Muraliya bajaye ke Basuriya अरे कहाँ गयो कान्हा मुरलिया बजाए के. First, it is said Bhagwan Shri Krishna, he looked at Arjuna and he says, Arjuna, show him your form. And Arjuna turned into his original self. And when Arjuna turned to his original self, then Bhagwan Krishna looked at Bhim and he says, show him, go ahead. And Bhim turned back to his form. But the king wasn't foolish. He saw the markings. He says, Kanha, where are you inside there? I want to see you. Show me yourself. And the Lord is about to transform. And the king says, Kaha gayo? Where have you gone? That is what it means. Where have you gone? Listen. Muraliya bajaye बांसुरिया सुनाए के कहाँ गयो कान्हा मुरलिया बजाए के कहाँ गयो कान्हा मुरलिया मुरलिया बजाए के मुरलिया मुरलिया बजाए के बांसुरिया सुनाए के कहाँ गयो कान्हा मुरलिया बजाए ऊपर गोबर दल लायो ब्रज को बचायो लियो ब्रज को बचायो लियो पर्वत उठाएगी कहाँ गयो कान्हा मुरलिया करुणा करुणा कर दो पटी पुकारे में लिपट गयो बनवारे करुणा कर दो पटी पुकारे में लिपट गयो बनवारे लाज बचायो मन मत की गिराए के कहाँ गयो कान्हा मुरलिया बजाए कहाँ गयो वृंदावन में रास रचायो दूत धरी माखन खायो वृंदावन में रास रचायो दूत धरी माखन खायो मन मक्की गिराए के कहाँ गयो कान्हा मुरलिया बजाए कहाँ गयो कान्हा मुरलिया Tonight, my dear friends, it is said when Bhagwan Shri Krishna transformed into his original self, the king saw Bhim, Arjuna, Bhagwan Krishna. all of them standing there, and Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, today we will want to challenge you so that you can set free all the kings that you've tried to destroy. And this king looked at the three of them and he says, okay, no problem. He says, Bhagavan Krishna, I won't challenge you. You have traveled too far to come here. Arjuna, you're too small. I won't fight you. Look at your size. Bhim, you're strong. You are like myself. You're a match for me. I want to fight someone who has a match for me. If you want to fight, let's fight. And Bhim looked at the Lord and he prostrated at the feet of Bhagavan Krishna. And when he touched the feet of Bhagavan Gopal, it is said Bhim went in front of the king. And they're about to begin a battle. And while they will begin the battle, it is said the two of them will start by exchanging blows and exchanging arms and fighting one another. And while they will be fighting one to the next, it is said for a moment Bhim will be struck, and then for another the king will be struck, and back and forth. It is said for hours upon hours they would fight. And while they will fight for hours, at one more point in time, Bhim looks at Bhagavan Krishna and he says, I feel as though I'm becoming weak. I can't do it. Lord, I'm feeling down and depressed. And the Lord looks at him and he says, when the Lord is here, why feel depressed and weak and down? And Bhim turns to Prabhu and he says, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And with one blow, it is said, at the jaw of this king, he threw him down. And the king at that point breathed his last. When he breathed his last, Bhim looked at the Lord. He says, Lord, I will remember today that no matter what situations I will undergo in my life, no matter what problems I may undergo, as long as you are on my side, I will always rise above this. But while the king fell down and he died right there with a blow, it is said his son came. His son's name was Sahadeo. The son came and he looked at his father lying down there. And he says, today you have destroyed my father, whoever you may be. And Lord Krishna walked up to him and he says, son, today I will teach you name and fame and power. Pride will get you nowhere. But I can teach you to be humble and simple. And I will give you the throne to rule from this point onwards. With respect and with humility, you will become the best in the world. And the same goes for all of us. When you have pride and ego, you will not reach anywhere in life. But if you're simple and humble and have pure thoughts, then no matter what you do in the world, you will always achieve the greatest of heights. Shivrindavan Bihari Lal ki, Umapati Mahadeva ki jai. And with this Bhagavan Shri Krishna, he released all the kings that were captured. He allowed them to go back where they were. And they've decided now to go back to the kingdom of Yudhishthira. And he says, now we've saved the kings. And now the yajna can continue. With God in your life, everything can work out for the best. But have faith, be dedicated, and always remember to pray. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. With this, I end our katha tonight, our first night of our yajna. And while we end our night, our puja has been completed. We're about to join in the Arti. While we're about to prepare for the Arti, let me take this opportunity to specially welcome my cousin who's here with us tonight, Pundit Narad Gosine. Special welcome, Bhaiya. It's a pleasure to have you with us. At this time now, let us all stand for final Arti. Arti Kunja Bihari ki, Shri Giridhara Krishna Murari ki. Arti Kunja Bihari ki, Giridhara Krishna Murari ki. Arti Kunja Bihari ki, Giridhara Krishna Murari ki. पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव ॐ शान्ति 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 हरि ओम वृंदावन में हरि लाल की उमापति महादेव की सत्य सनातन धर्म की जय 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 श्री राम. Let us all take our seats. As we take our seat and as we come to the end, once more special blessing to each and everyone as we have concluded this beautiful night. And as we have concluded, we will invite all to partake of Arti, Prasad, meals have been prepared for each and everyone. But before we do so, once more, my Bhaiji, Pandit Videsh, let me invite you to give us a few words of blessing. It is only when I came tonight, then I realized that devotees were saying that you are in this mandir. So now I know where you are. But today it gives me pleasure to welcome my cousin, Pundit Narad Gosine, to give us his blessings.
Bole Shri Mahapati Mahadev ki jai. Come, we could do better than that, man. You all just had one of the most enchanting yagna. So, Bole Shri Mahapati Mahadev ki jai. Very good. So, Panditji, Pundit Narad, well, he already burst the bubble already. Tell everybody as your family. So, to my, I'm not sure if he's younger or older. I think we same age. But Panditji, thank you very much for this beautiful discourse, and thank you for having me come here. As you all know, well, some of you may know that I am the spiritual leader of the Brickfield Mandir as well as the president of the Mandir. And I would like to thank each and every one of you for coming here tonight and taking part and joining in this beautiful katha by Pundit Narad and his wonderful band, his wonderful team. So with that, I would like each and everyone to sit upright, close your eyes, bow your heads, focus your mind on that Lord, Shri Krishna Bhagwan, Shri Ganesh Bhagwan, whichever Lord, whichever Bhagwan, whichever Lord that you focus on. As you thank Him for giving you this opportunity to be here tonight, as you ask Him, O Bhagwan, for whatever wrong I may have done, please forgive me, please bless me, please guide me. Harihi Om Tat Sat Om Gananam Tva Ganapatigam Havamahe Kavim Kavina Upamasravastramam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashrinvannotibhi Sirasaranam Shri Mahaganari Ganapataye Namaha. Holy Shri Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki Jai. Devotees, before I give back this mic to Pundit Naradji, we have meals prepared, but due to the COVID restrictions and so forth, we will not have devotees partaking of meals in the temple grounds. We have already boxed it, we have already pre-packaged it, so at the end of the service, you all can get Arti, Prasadam, and collect your meals out and have a safe journey home. Bole Shri Mahapati Mahadev ki